Native nations. Tribal history, language, and culture is also part of Indigenous life. Check out our headline news service to learn more. Tune in here for National Native News.
Weekdays at 5:55 on KSJE Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is officially baby-friendly. This evidence-based initiative is designed to support mother-baby bonding and optimal infant feeding practices by upholding the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. San Juan Regional Medical Center, officially baby-friendly, and serving the Four Corners since 1910. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, August 27th, and this is KSJE 90.9 FM and 103.3 FM, of course, if you're listening in the Durango area. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We were showing you an image earlier this morning of San Juan College, a busy, busy place. The second day of the fall semester is underway, and we can talk a little bit about the weather forecast for this Tuesday. It's going to be mostly sunny today with a high of 94 degrees. Clear tonight, 55 for a low. Tomorrow, 95 for a high, 94 on Thursday, and maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm popping up in the area on Wednesday and Thursday. Back with sunshine on Friday and a high of 94 and 96 on Saturday before another chance of showers moves into the forecast. Coming up in just a moment, my guest on the program this morning, Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell is back with me for her regular visits during the school year. We'll be talking with her in just a few moments on KSJE, so stay tuned for that. And then later on this hour, we'll check in with folks over at the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter, and we'll be showing you some of the pets available for adoption this week. That is coming up today about 8:55 on KSJE. Next hour, Mick Hess will be here roving with the arts, and if you're not awake yet, Mick will wake you up with some operetta arias by Elizabeth Schwarzkopf. He's got that coming up today at 9:06 here on KSJE. And to make sure you don't miss a thing, we invite you to join us on social media. You can like our Facebook page, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and check us out on Instagram, if you would. Well, now let me welcome my guest back with me to our visual radio studios this morning. Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell is here. Dr. Mizell, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming back.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You bet. You had a good summer?
I did.
Good.
I had a nice one.
Got some things accomplished and did some traveling and spent time with family?
Took a little time off and then hit it hard to get ready for school. So we're doing good.
I bet. That's true. And so the school year, even though this is the second day of classes here at San Juan College, Bloomfield Schools have been going now for a little while, right? About 10 days?
Yes. We've been in school for 2 weeks.
Right. And so things going well?
So far, so good.
So far, so good?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're a little disappointed with the enrollment numbers. You were telling me a little bit. They are lower than you were expecting.
Now, and we kind of been tracking, just trying to find out what's going on. And a lot of our families have moved to Artesia and down south, Carlsbad area.
Some of those jobs, those oil field jobs, they're following those, right?
Yes.
I gotcha. And so I guess it's maybe not surprising, but still disappointing to see the numbers the way that they are, because that affects your funding.
Yes, it's discouraging. Hopefully, we'll maintain and start plateauing, at least with a reduction of students. We don't actually consider the actual count until after the holiday, because
Right.
a lot of times people don't bring their kids in until later. So we wait until after the holiday, and then we'll look seriously at what are the repercussions of people moving away and losing enrollment. We'll have to make some difficult decisions, I'm sure.
Understood. And but this is a kind of a mobile county, I've always heard, of folks that travel and move in and out of districts, even intra-county in San Juan County, but you're also talking about people that are moving to other parts of the state. So.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, on the other hand, you have got some better news for me about your perfect attendance contest that you have every year for your high school students, right?
We have 2 vehicles to give away this year for perfect attendance, and that with the perfect attendance, that means no tardies or truancy or anything like that. Or the only thing that is excused is extracurricular school activities.
Okay.
And last year, the first year we had 27. Then the second year we had, the odds were very much in the students' favor. I think we had like 6 students. And
by the end of the year.
Yes, because the flu
Right.
got a lot of them.
That.
And then last year we had 17. So we're hoping to have quite a few kids participating this year. So.
Okay, but your students are on notice, and this is for now which grade levels?
It's for both Bloomfield High School and Charlie Y. Brown, and it's 9th through 12th grade.
Okay, so they're all eligible as long
Yes.
as they keep coming to class and have that perfect attendance by the end of the year. And so again, you've got 2 cars, and I imagine you want to thank the folks who got the cars
Yes,
for you, right? Or gave you
we
the cars.
partner with Zimes Ford.
Okay, and they came up with both.
Yes.
Very nice. Well, I can't think of a better present for a high school student at the end of the school year, but a new to them car.
Yes.
So
last year it was a neat experience to see the kids win. All their friends got in the car with them, and it was a joyful experience. So, and one of the students, I mean, she was so excited, and she was just emotionally charged with the excitement of getting a car, and a child that, you would want to get something like that. When you look at kids that don't have much, or, they don't have a lot of things in their lives have happened that are tragedies, and this particular person, we were just really pleased to see her get it.
very nice. Well, congratulations again to you, and thanks to Zimes, who have been very generous over the years, I think, right?
Mike Zimes is a great guy.
That's wonderful.
He really helps us out every year, and he searches and helps us make sure that it goes smoothly. They usually pay the difference. So, for example, if a vehicle's priced at $10,000, they give it to us for $5,000. So we've been
That's
able
a good deal.
Yeah,
they're wheeling and dealing over there. Yeah.
Well,
that's great.
they're very supportive in that way,
course.
and we appreciate it, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. And do it twice, which is nice
This
too.
year, yes.
So.
And I raise money through the school magazine that I publish every year, and I sell ads, and those funds go directly to the car and to students. I usually buy athletic T-shirts for all student athletes, and so a lot of times I'll give extra funds to different programs like choir, ROTC, or FFA if they
Right.
need to go to a competition or different things that happen throughout the year.
And I think that's important for residents to hear, is that the money is coming from this project that you take on every year. It's not from your other state appropriations or
No.
property taxes or things like that.
It's money that our community in Bloomfield is very generous, and they buy ads in the magazine, and it generates the funds to be able to do these things. So
There you go.
I really appreciate their support.
True. That's very true. And again, it all to try to get kids to kind of think about coming to school and rethink maybe that not showing up one day or missing out on this perfect attendance contest, and just that other incentive to maybe get them to think twice during the school year about, if they miss, what that means, the repercussions.
Yeah, I believe it's really helped with our truancy rate as well. If they at least make an attempt for half the year, you've impacted the truancy rate. We're hoping that it helps. Originally my goal was to address the graduation, truancy, and absenteeism. And so I believe that it has had an impact on that, as far as the numbers and what we have going on with our high schools. And so, you've captured, and we're always really concerned about freshmen and sophomores, and that's why it's for that lower grade level as well. They kind of go to high school and they don't realize what's required academically, and they all of a sudden have some freedom, and they struggle with that, and sometimes it impacts them negatively with credits. And so we want to encourage them in particular to make sure they get to school and are there to learn.
Right.
So.
Right. And that brings up another topic I want to ask you about, and that is your graduation rate, because obviously if kids are staying in school and they're not truant, we hope that they're going to stay all the way and graduate, right?
Yeah, right now we're keeping pace with the state average. It's about 71%. In years past, we've been higher than the state average. So we had a smaller class last year with the cohorts, and how they do that is it's when they start ninth grade and if they graduate in the 4-year period. So another contributing factor to that is that at our alternative high school we have the credit recovery program, and it's a kind of an accelerated program where they can recover credits in 2-week cycles to catch up. So those freshmen and sophomores that get behind, they can transfer to Charlie Y. Brown and catch up, and we give them the option to go back to the high school if they so choose, and they can also graduate with the high school as well.
I see. But I imagine that can be difficult, not just for Bloomfield Schools, but for every school district, for keeping kids in class when they're older and maybe can see some of their friends or friends' parents finding jobs in the oil field that pay pretty good, and maybe a high school diploma isn't required for some of these jobs.
I would, I'm a oil field brat, is what you call, so I would never say anything negative about that. They fund education, oil and gas, and so my thought is, it's always, I understand that pull to go and work in the oil field, and it can be a career, but it's also, I think if you talk to any of the dads that have worked in the field, they would tell their kids to get a degree or get a diploma at least, because the work is very physical and challenging, and they would prefer that their child didn't have to work as hard as they did.
Right, sure.
So,
well, and something to fall back on,
right,
too.
It's good to have a path to fall back on. We've really worked hard on developing some career technical programs in Bloomfield. We have a very good welding program. We brought in an engineering program, but it's more like mechanical type building, and then we have our business school program where you can get basically certified in business. And then we're starting this year our computer science program. So we're trying to build avenues that students can that have interest in getting into some kind of career technical program, so that they can, when they graduate from high school, they will be certified in something to get a job.
Right. To hit the market, the job market, right?
When I first came to Bloomfield, only about 20% of the kids went to college. Most of them went out in the workforce, and those numbers have changed in the last 4 years, and I think we're at close to at least 70% that are saying they're going to post-secondary, some form of post-secondary, and I always recommend San Juan College because I think it's a great place to start off working towards a degree. Yeah, I mean, it's inexpensive. Sure. It's not something that's going to break the bank for your families, and they also have a wonderful scholarship program through their foundation. So I always really recommend the San Juan College program to get a feel for what it's like to go to college first, and then make your decision later. And I actually went here when I started. For the first semester, I went here, and then I ended up transferring to Fort Lewis College, where they have reciprocity, so it's in-state tuition there. Right. So that's nice.
Another great deal, right?
Right. So
and that's what people can find if they shop around a little bit or ask around. They may not be aware that going to school at Fort Lewis, you pay the in-state tuition if you live in San Juan County. There is that agreement between the two schools.
Right. You can transfer your credits and everything. So it works out really well. Of course, I was a ski person, so I wanted to ski a lot. So
that
worked
explains
out
everything,
really well
Dr.
for me.
Mizell, that's right. But good for you. So, but there you go. And it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of some of this technical education that you're doing at Bloomfield High School and Charlie Y. Brown School could even transfer here to San Juan College for more vocational training as well, I would think.
Yes. One really positive thing that has happened in the San Juan County area, we actually now have a regional educational cooperative that's located in Bloomfield. And so what that is a partnership between Bloomfield, Aztec, Farmington, CCSD, Gallup, and Zuni. And so we're working with San Juan College. Okay. San Juan College is a member. And so I just recently wrote a grant, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and it's for career technical programs. And we will be partnering with San Juan College to develop dual credit classes and certifications in different career tech programs. So it's very exciting. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we get that opportunity. And it's a really nice partnership that we have, but the REC is the the organization that can facilitate that for all the districts and San Juan College.
I see. And that's relatively a new organization
Yes,
that's come
yes,
up that
I
we haven't
worked-
had in the past?
I've worked myself and Dr. Schmidt. I've worked on it extensively for the last year.
Okay.
And we finally have it up and going. We have hired a director as of last week. His name is David Bowman, and so he'll be connecting with everyone. And the main priority is increase graduation rate, and then also provide quality professional development for school districts in different areas. So we're very hopeful, and it's kind of exciting. The state usually goes through these RECs to deploy programs for school districts, so it's
I
going to
see.
be nice.
So it's something that would get the state's attention.
Well, a lot of times you'll get an intergovernment agreement where you get funding to do that work.
Got it. Interesting. Very good. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And congratulations for at least getting it going.
Yes.
And getting the framework set up and all the school districts kind of on the same page.
Yes.
It sounds
Yes,
like.
it's
So
nice.
that's great. I want to talk a little bit about staffing because you were telling me that you are pretty much fully staffed, which not every school district can say
Yeah,
at this point in the school year.
You know, we always try to beat everybody to the punch in getting our jobs posted early. And this year I know how hard my personnel director, Debbie Hernandez, I'm going to say her name because she's an amazing lady, and she has worked diligently all summer long to get people into the schools. And so I think we only have like 4 openings right now. And other than that, I mean, that's rare. Usually we'll have openings, or we have, in fact, a lot of long-term substitutes, which are people maybe doing alternative licensure or just a substitute in a classroom. And this year we've hired all certified teachers. Maybe we have 1 or 2 long-term subs this year. So it's really a positive thing. And we've had to turn to international teachers for that. What we're finding is people are not going into education right now through the universities and the college prep programs, and so there's individuals in foreign countries that there's a ton of jobs, and they really want to come and work here because their salaries there are around $5,000 a year. And
$5,000 U.S. dollars a year. I just want to make sure
Yes.
everyone heard you say
Yes,
that.
That's
okay.
what I had just talked to a
Wow.
consultant who does the recruiting, and he said, yeah, their salaries there are $5,000 a year.
So coming here and making 40, 45,
Yeah. 40,
big difference, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Even if
it's
the cost of
huge.
living's a little higher.
And
it's
so
still,
a lot of them
yeah.
come here. They live, multiple people in a house. They share, and they send most of the money back home.
Right.
So
But the issue, and we talked with the Aztec School superintendent and deputy superintendent about this very issue when they were here a couple of weeks ago, and they are reaching out doing the same type of thing. And one of our listeners did comment about, what a shame having to go outside of the country to find these teachers for these types of jobs. But as you mentioned, it's a shortage, not just Bloomfield-wide or San Juan County-wide, but statewide and nationwide, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I think we all need to wake up. We're going to have a crisis pretty quick. We're dealing with it. We've been dealing with it in our district for quite a while. For the last 4 years, it's been a challenge. We've talked with the university. We've talked with the State Department, and it's just getting more and more challenging to find people.
I know we've talked here about the San Juan College and Project Alpine, which is trying to place teachers into minority school districts and almost pay you to go to school and get that teaching degree and certificate and all these things to try to improve the numbers that we're talking about.
Right. And we have actually 3 candidates in that program this year. Also, through Eastern New Mexico, they have a program where once you graduate from high school, if you'll sign up, you have a GPA and everything, you'll sign up to get a teaching degree. They'll pay for your entire degree now. And so there's the state is recognizing we have to do something. I started a Grow Your Own program where we have educational assistants in our school that are quality employees that just, for whatever reason, couldn't go to college or afford to go to college. So we will pay for them to go to college and get their degrees as well. And so they have to be current employees, and they sign an agreement to 3-year commitment to the district after they get their degree to teach
That they will come
in our
back
district.
and teach. Nice.
And with the Eastern College program as well. That's a 3-year commitment to teach in New Mexico.
Okay.
So there's opportunity out there. It's just, and I think the salaries are getting better and better.
Well, we saw that with the legislature,
Yes.
right? I mean, certainly that helps.
Right. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we kind of rebuild what we have in our educational programs. And
Right. But these folks that you're bringing in from overseas, I mean, they have met the same standards and everything else that a U.S.-based teacher would have to meet, too, for
Yes.
these jobs, correct?
Yes.
I mean, you'd make sure that they're all certified and they have their certification to teach in New Mexico and all those things.
they're qualified to be a teacher in our districts. And what I have found, and I've observed many of them, they're very strong in pedagogy. So they have the systems and approach and the scope and sequence of instruction down pat. The one area that they do tend to struggle a little bit is classroom management, because in their country, education is a privilege,
Right.
and not everybody gets to go. And in our country, everyone gets to go, and our students tend to not appreciate their education as much. Not all. I mean, there are many that do.
Right.
But we're
It's
a little...
different.
Yeah,
different.
it's a different philosophy. We're free thinkers and free expressors in the United States, and those students over there don't do that. They sit there very quietly and do their work, and our kids tend to express themselves, I want to say. And
Right, sure.
So that becomes a little more challenging for them, but we try to provide professional development to help them with that.
Just going to ask you if this professional development can help those teachers
Right.
with some of those differences. And so,
And it's, they're kind of a little bit of a culture shock coming
True.
from where they come from, and so we try to facilitate that for them, and we provide mentors and mentorship, and hopefully help them to maneuver that in the educational system.
right. But again, it fills the jobs and the needs that you have for these
Yes.
qualified teachers and for parents and others in the Bloomfield School District, and they can know that their students are being taught by qualified teachers.
Yes.
And that's important for a lot of folks. I want to ask you a bit about the new state assessments that were out, because the PARCC test is out and the new test is in. That was in the spring, of course. And you were waiting for the results, or have you gotten a little bit of the results from your students?
We've gotten the results. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. We had such a upward trajectory for the Bloomfield School District, and we had no Fs in our district last year when we were doing the grading system. This year, we took a little bit of a dip, and I'm basically attributing it to the change in the assessment. What they did is they shortened the amount of days that they had to assess, but they made the test a little bit longer.
I see.
And so it was more of an endurance test for kids. And what we heard from our students, that some of our high achieving students, they were not able to finish the test.
In the time allowed, I see. Right.
And so that was a concern. I had expressed that at the State Department. I said, if you're going to make things where you allow students to demonstrate their knowledge, you really have to look at the timing of the test. If you have a child that is a second language learner, they're translating as they're taking a test. That takes a lot of brain power and
time.
And this particular scenario, I don't think afforded the students the time to process and put the information down. I know many intelligent people that are not speed readers. They process and they think about as they're reading so that they can apply it later. So we need to really look at that and consider that when we're giving these tests. And what is our goal? Do we want kids to demonstrate their knowledge, or do we want them to be rapid processors and hopefully guess well on the test?
Sure. Right.
So it's
And we'll
a
have
little
to,
confusing.
I guess, wait and see until next spring as to what they come back with, right? And so they're working on the new,
It's called TAMLA now
okay,
instead of PARCC, so it's called the TAMLA assessment.
which is, I'm sure, an acronym about something.
Yes, it's a very long acronym.
Right. But there's a lot of change at the Public Education Department. There's a new secretary, of course, a new governor as of the first of the year, and so there's a bit of flux into some of these things that are coming out. But the one thing the governor said she wanted to do was to get rid of the PARCC test, and she did do that.
Yes, she did. And I think it needed to be addressed. So I was pleased with that. But that we still have a long way to go with what we're doing with the state assessment. They're actually testing less students. They're going to continue testing 3rd through 8th grade, and then just 11th grade at the high school in English and math,
Okay.
ELA and math. So that's quite a big change because we've tested everyone
Right.
from 3rd through 12th grade. So we'll see how that goes in the future. They're going to be changing the high school graduation requirement as of this point to ACT and SAT scores, which I don't know how that's going to work because it's a one-time shot type thing. You can take it like 3 times and have it paid for through the schools. However, there's no retake option, like if a student's absent.
Ah, right.
So they haven't figured those things out.
Okay.
And then also, it's really hard to, right now we have standards that we're teaching that are the Common Core standards, and we've aligned them with priority type weighting within the assessment, and it's practically impossible to do that now with the ACT because it changes every year.
Right.
So
So that's something, and again, that's the current status. It could change next week, for all we know. But as of right now, that's what we're talking. They're
That's
talking
what we've
about
been
and
told
what you're
for
being
now.
told from Santa Fe.
yes.
And again, it's one of those things. It's kind of that moving target, and there's a lot of folks that feel that kids are tested too much, even if they're testing less students, that they're still tested too much. On the other side of it, there's folks who are saying, but how do you know what a student has learned unless you test them on what they have learned? It's that whole testing argument, and I know we've talked about this, I think, before, and you've worked on this your whole career, I think,
Yes,
of how
I
do
have.
you how do you gauge what a student has learned without some form of an assessment, and that's what this conversation sometimes goes back to, right?
Right. What we've done in Bloomfield is with our curriculum alignment, we've designed an assessment that is, it used to be state assessment like, but it's online. So we give, when you're talking about developing endurance, you have to get kids building up that endurance to be able to take that test. It's just like in sports, you have to train to be able to run an endurance race or
Sure.
whatever. We're doing the same thing all year long with our students. And we have benchmark points, which are quarterly, that we teach the standards, and then we assess how kids are doing. And it's usually the 7th week into the quarter. And then the last 2 weeks, we do reteaching of things that we find in that classroom that students didn't understand well, or we reteach it in a different way to see if we can capture the ones that maybe learn differently. And so we have been refining that over the last 4 years, and basically we were really close at predicting how our students would do on the state assessment throughout the district. So that's a good thing. So when I talk about ACT, we don't have the ability necessarily to do that with that.
Right.
And
That's
so-
a whole different animal of
So
testing, right?
what I'm looking at is building in a requirement that they have ACT prep classes for the schools, because that's what they're going to be required to pass and
That's
do
such
well.
a big part of their graduation
Graduation.
requirements, right?
Yeah.
You'll
So
probably
it
need to
takes
do
an
that.
elective away, though.
Right.
So that's always my concern. So
Sure.
at some point we need to take something else off the plate, and one of the conversations is Algebra 2. We pretty much, as superintendents, feel that only place that is really relevant if you're going into the STEM field. Otherwise, financial math, financial stuff, or even just basic math skills out in the world, for example, we feel like we could probably offer that credit in a type of an elective scenario, so that we could take something away if we're going to add something. So that's kind of the conversation right now.
Okay. We'll see where that goes. But as a
yeah.
non-math guy, I say thank you for getting rid of
I
Algebra 2,
think a lot of
perhaps.
students would say that as well.
Right.
That
But-
seems to be the one thing that our kids really are challenged. In Bloomfield, they do very well in geometry. So, and our lineup's a little different than other districts. And so I think it is that Algebra 1, Algebra 2 combination, and then geometry. But I think a lot of the kids just don't see the relevance of it.
Sure. Well, and it kind of gives us an insight into your job of trying to balance when you're
Right.
getting stuff added to the plate of your students, then what do you take off? Because the
Yeah.
plate's not getting any bigger.
Well, I'm a firm believer that you can't keep adding.
Yeah.
You have to really streamline things and make things where people can attain their goals and what they need to do. And so I'm always looking at whether if utilization of something, if it's not utilized, let's no longer pay for it. You have to be effective and efficient with whatever we're doing because we only have these kids for a short period of time, and let's make it the best we can.
There you go. That's very true. Dr. Kim Mizell, I appreciate you coming in this morning to talk with me.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you again next month. If that's
Okay,
all right.
sounds good.
Very good. That's Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell, my guest here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time right now is 8:39.
It is quality, not quantity, that counts. Was Aesop writing about screen time and adolescent mental health? From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech, demystifying the digital economy. I'm Jed Kim, in for Molly Wood.
Marketplace Tech is supported by Home Advisor, helping homeowners find local pros for their home projects. Homeowners can get matched to pros, read reviews, and check cost guides at homeadvisor.com.
It feels like we're constantly bombarded with news stories about how screens and technology are destroying our kids' mental health. Turns out, though, when it comes to adolescence, those negative impacts of screen time may be overblown. Michaelyn Jensen is an assistant professor of psychology at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. She led a team that did a longitudinal study, following up with a group of students over a couple of years, asking how they're using tech and how they're feeling. Then they collected more than 13,000 observations on hundreds of those kids, and the results were pretty different from a lot of the familiar headlines